This is Randy, owner of Professional Floor Covering, welcoming you back to Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
This is a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Jung Garden Center, not WBEV, ESPN, or Good Common Brands. Welcome to the Garden Doctor Show here on Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Amy Hudson here with you in the Slumberland Furniture Studios and also the Daily Dodge TV studios. And if you've never checked out the live video stream, today, right now, is your day to do that. And it's super easy. When you're on dailydodge.com, just simply click the Daily Dodge TV tab. That will get you engaged with the stream. And know that you can also just subscribe to the Daily Dodge TV YouTube channel. And when you do that, don't forget to click the notifications icon so you don't miss any of the happenings when we do have things fired up here in the Daily Dodge TV studios, whether it is right here at 100 Bill McCullum Way or when we're out and about covering a local sporting event or a community event. And the reason that I'm telling you today is the day is because I love it when Dick Zondag, the garden doctor from Jung Garden Center, visits us. And wow, you have to see it to believe it regarding what he has brought in to share with us today. And of course, he's always ready to take your calls and your questions via studio line or text. And our studio line is 885-4446. 885-4446 is the studio line. And you can also text at 887-9595. I know that sometimes I can be a little bit on the high energy side, but when I get excited, I just can't hide it. And when I came downstairs into the Daily Dodge TV studio not even 5 minutes ago, I was blown away to see what you have with you today, Dick. This is incredible. You have the largest heads of broccoli and cauliflower that I have ever seen. So let's start off talking about what you brought with us for show and tell today.
Yeah, one of our employees, Tracy, brought these in especially for the Garden Doctor program. I've been in her garden and, broccoli, and as I said last time, there was a foot in diameter. Well, it's hard to believe that, but here it is.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that before.
I've never seen it either, but
it's incredible.
It's a matter of how you treat the plants when you plant them, the variety that you use. This happens to be a variety called Lieutenant, and it's a variety that will be in some of our catalogs next spring. That head is just, like I said, you're almost speechless with describing how big it is, and how the even you look at the back side of it, how the structure of the plant, you're going to have several meals out of that, or you're going to get a lot of frozen broccoli or a lot of broccoli soup out of that.
It really is so beautiful. And you will get a lot of use out of that. If you can't eat it all fresh, definitely put that in the freezer. That's what my mom used to do.
You just blanch it, 3 minutes in boiling water, and then cool it down as fast as you can with ice water, and then put it in the freezer. And varieties really do well. I was in her garden about a month ago, and we took some of the heads out. And they weren't quite this big, but they were almost that big. And of course, broccoli has side shoots, and this is what most people get in their garden as the kingflower. Yeah,
and it looks so modest.
These were side shoots that came off those plants.
Wow, I want some cheese sauce right now, or a little bit of butter. I should have brought some ranch dressing in. We could have munched on that during the show today. And when you think about putting that stuff in the freezer, it tastes extra good when you get to enjoy that in a cold winter month. And we are going into soup season. That cauliflower that you brought in is also amazing.
Yeah, that one is Snow Crown, which is a very old variety. It's been one that's been around forever. It's a self-blanching one.
Okay, what does that mean?
Which means that the leaves grow up around the head, so you don't have to tie it quite as. There's some of the cauliflowers that if you don't tie the leaves around the head, or as I've done with a lot of the cauliflower that I've grown in my garden, I just tuck a cabbage leaf around the head.
Oh.
The only reason that they get white is the sunlight is cut out.
Okay.
If they get sunlight on the head, they get sort of a yellowish color.
And is
and
it
they're
still
very
okay?
kind of bitter.
Oh, it affects the taste
yeah,
too.
it affects the taste too. But the snow crown has the leaves that are big and tall and kind of cover the head until it's ready to go. But there again, these are spectacular.
They are
They're
spectacular.
almost beyond words. I have, up until this summer, I've never seen cauliflower or broccoli that are this big.
And you've seen a lot over the course of your years.
Yes, I have. And the whole idea behind it is, number one, you've got to fertilize those plants when you first plant them so that you get them off to a good start. Because, in gardening, what you want to do is get the plants off to a good start. Because if you don't, if you just plant them and let them and maybe just water them in, and you don't give them that extra fertility, they just kind of sit there for a while. But if you give them that extra little bit of fertilizer so that the plants really start to grow in the cool part of the season, and develop the vegetative part of the plant, when the flower, and these are actually seed heads. They're not, you buy this in the store to eat, but if you let it go, it gets the green turns into little yellow flowers, and the little yellow flowers turn into seeds, and that's how you produce the seeds. So you want to get them growing really well so that the leaves are really big, and then when it does initiate and the broccoli doesn't grow these things for us to eat. The broccoli plant is thinking that I need to grow that for seed because broccoli is an annual, of course. And so when it initiates the seed head, which this is, the bigger the plant, the bigger the seed head, and the more seeds it's going to produce. Unfortunately, it doesn't get to do that because we cut them off and eat them.
Good for us.
Surprise.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
The garden doctor, Dick Sondag with Jung Garden Center, is with us this morning. Of course, the studio lines are open for your calls, 885-4446, 885-4446. And Charlie, who is in the Slumberland Furniture Studio, also happy to keep an eye on the text line for us. So you may text your questions into 887-9595. 887-9595 is the text line. We are just so early into fall, and as we were talking about last week, there are still lots of ways for us to have some fun outside in the garden, make sure that our yard is ready to go too as we get into this new season. You blew my mind another way before we hit the air together here when you mentioned that tulips, we can be ready for tulips, and you have 72 varieties of tulips at Jung Garden Center.
Yeah, we bring in a lot of different varieties, so we're not just like the box stores where you go in and you can get red tulips or yellow tulips.
That's
or
all you
mixed
get.
Tulips, yeah.
There's no fun in that.
So we have 72 different varieties of tulips, from the species tulips, which are these little tulips that come up out of the ground, and they're very, very pretty early in the spring, to the Rembrandts and the parrot tulips, and then you've got the triumphs and early flowering and the late flowering and there's different kinds, and certain kinds of tulips perennialize better than others, and so the early tulips are the ones that you want. We also have the augers that you use that make planting tulips almost painless.
We'll take the extra help if it's available. Let's do it.
It's like a drill. You put it on your. If you've got a long cord and you use a regular drill, that's fine. But the cordless drills are becoming real popular.
Yeah.
You put it on the end of a cordless drill and you drill a hole. With tulips, they like to be in a cool soil, so you want to go down, depending on your soil type, 8 to 10 inches.
Okay.
And what I do is I put a piece of masking tape on the auger at about that depth, so I know how deep I am in the ground. And when I get down to that depth, then I pull the loose dirt out. I also put some bone meal mix it in with the soil around it, because the phosphorus and the potassium in the bone meal help the tulips root down and get ready for winter.
Okay.
But you put it in so that the bottom of the bulb is down and the pointed part is up, and then you pull the soil back around the bulb, and it's ready to start getting ready for spring.
Are daffodils similar regarding the depth that they have to be
Yes.
planted also?
Yep, daffodils, you want to have them down deep because they tend to rise out of the ground. Each year they get a little shallower, and so by the time that they need to be divided, they're very close to the surface. So you just dig them up, you pull the clumps apart and put them down deep again. And what happens when you put them down deep is they tend to stay a single bulb longer.
Okay.
Because the size of the bulb that you get is going to be the size of the flower that you get. So if you're buying little bulbs like you do in a lot of these stores that have, 50 tulips for $6 or $7, you're getting the very small bulbs.
Okay.
And when you plant those, you're going to get small flowers, where the bulbs that we handle are usually the top size bulbs, the biggest bulbs that you can get. And so you're going to get bigger flowers out of them, and they're going to perennialize much easier.
Okay. And you also have a lot of different varieties of daffodils, 42 varieties.
So
That
there's
is
42
unbelievable.
varieties of daffodils, and there again, there are the big daffodils, the King Alfred and Mount Shasta or Mount Tacoma, I think it has some white in it, and then there are some pink daffodils.
I've never seen a pink daffodil.
Oh,
I bet if I
really?
look at the one of the Jung Garden Center catalogs or the Jung Seed catalog, I'd probably see a picture of those pink daffodils.
Yep, there we have some of the pink ones, and then there are some of the, where the tay-to-tay, which is the paper white. Now the paper whites are not hardy, so those are just for indoor enjoyment. But Peeping Tom is one that is very short. It only gets about 6 or 8 inches high, and the flowers are kind of small, but they're very nice in rock gardens or in the front of a flower border, and so we have those also. So
I like that. Thoughts of spring as we're just getting into fall. There
Right.
is stuff
And
that we can
then-
do all year.
crocus and hyacinths and all the different bulbs that you can plant in the fall that give you that early spring color that's always so welcome after those cold winter days that you've been hibernating from.
Yeah, those cold winter days and when everything is so gray, we really look forward to those beautiful colors
Yeah.
in the spring. The garden doctor, Dick Sondag with Jung Garden Center, is with us here this morning on Hometown Today. We will take a quick break and be back with more with the garden doctor here on Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
From Beaver Dam Lake to Horicon Marsh and everywhere in between, we're talking about what's important in your hometown. This is Hometown Today on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Welcome to Hometown Today. Amy Hudson here with you in the Slumberland Furniture Studios and the Daily Dodge TV studios as we stream live at dailydodge.com. All you have to do to check out the stream is simply click on the Daily Dodge TV tab, and know that you can also subscribe to our channel on YouTube, to Daily Dodge TV right there, and make sure you click the notifications icon so you don't miss anything that is happening live, whether it's here at the Daily Dodge TV studios at 100 Bill McCullum Way or when we are out and about. And you can also visit the Garden Doctor on YouTube. I love Wednesday mornings because Dick Zonde, the Garden Doctor with Jung Garden Center, joins us to help you, give you that advice, answer your questions, so you make sure that you're heading into fall doing things the right way. Our phones, of course, open for your questions at 885-4446, and you can also text at 887-9595. We're going to head right to the phones. Are you ready?
You bet.
All right. Good morning. You're on the air with the Garden Doctor.
I have, someone gave me an orchid plant.
Okay.
And there are blossoms on it.
Okay.
And one looks like it's starting to drop. Now, my question is, how do I take care of this after all the blossoms drop?
It's sensing that it's going into its dormant period. So you want to keep it watered like once a week or once every 10 days. You feel the soil. If it's dry, then you water it heavy and you let it dry out between waterings. Keep it in sort of indirect light, because orchids, although they'll tolerate some sunlight, orchid plants, you have to think about where they are in nature. Orchid plants are saprophytes. They like to grow on tree bark, and so what you're going to notice is the plant is going to start looking a little bit ratty, because it's knowing that it's time to slow down and get ready for a cool season. Don't fertilize it until probably March of next year, because you don't want to force it into a new growth. But just keep it watered. Keep it in a east or a west window where it gets some indirect sunlight, and it will do just fine for you.
Okay, now another question. It looks like dry roots. Do I cut those off?
No, those are air roots. You can sometimes they even grow around the pot and outside of the pot. So no, you don't want to cut those off.
Okay, thanks for the information.
You're very welcome.
And that's why you're here. I love the variety of questions that we will take during any given show.
Right.
Of course, the phone's open for you at 885-4446, and you can also text at 887-9595. And we do have a text question. We've talked a lot about tulips and daffodils and those types of bulbs, but we have a listener wondering when is a good time for them to plant their stargazing bulbs, those beautiful lilies.
Yeah, the stargazer is one of the most popular of the, I think, it's an oriental lily, and fall is a great time to plant lilies. They're available now, and you get them in the ground, and so that the roots have a chance to establish. And there again, you want to treat them just like you do tulips. You want to plant them about 8 to 10 inches deep. You want to use a bulb booster type fertilizer on them when you plant them, so that they have the nutrition that they need, and you'll have beautiful lilies next summer.
I love the smell from the stargazer lilies. It's so beautiful, and
sort of a dark pink. You
Yeah.
know, with a little bit of white in it, as I remember it. I don't have a catalog here to look it up, but yeah, stargazer is one of the most popular of the lilies, and fall is a great time to plant them.
Well, and I was surprised to learn that this is also an okay time to plant strawberries.
Yeah, I mean, it's time to get them in the ground. If you want to start some strawberries, it's time to get them in. I would say we have another week or two because they're going to start growing. And then you want to mulch them with a foot, 10 inches to a foot of clean straw, probably in early November, before the ground gets completely cold. And that will allow the root system of the strawberries to keep growing all winter long, or at least until the soil around them freezes, and they'll be ready to go next spring. You're not going to get much of a crop next spring, but they're in there and they're established. And then you, in the springtime, you fertilize them with a good, well-balanced fertilizer to get them growing right away in the springtime. You'll get some fruit out of them, but not a lot. And away they go.
You make it sound so easy, and it can be, doing things the right way.
Yep.
The garden doctor, Dick Zondag with Jung Garden Center, with us here this morning. Of course, the phone lines are open for your questions at 885-4446, and you can also text at 887-9595. Charlie, do we have another caller on line one? I think
Sorry, Amy, we don't.
Okay, thank you. We are going to take a quick break and be back with more with the Garden Doctor here on Hometown Today and your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
It's Randy from Professional Floor Covering. You're listening to Hometown Today on the 5,000 watt flamethrower on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
It's always a good day when you get to go outside and have fun digging in the dirt and spoofing up your yard and your garden. And you always want to make sure that you know how to do things the right way, because it takes your time. It takes a little bit of folding money, as my grandma Hudson used to say, and you want things to turn out well, whether it is beautifying your yard or growing things in your flower garden or your vegetable garden. And the guy who helps guide us and make sure that we are doing things the best way possible is the garden doctor, Dick Zondag with Jung Garden Center, and he's with us here this morning. Of course, happy to take your calls at 885-4446. 885-4446 is the studio line. And you can also text in your questions at 887-9595. 887-9595 is the studio line. You have been digging in the dirt for many, many years, Dick Zondag, and we really do appreciate your time here on the show. Tell us where folks can find Jung Garden Centers, because you primarily are at the Randolph location, but there are many other locations.
Right. I'm not in the garden center very much, but I do. My office is at the main plant in Randolph.
It's big.
But I do a lot of the customer service and stuff. But we also have garden centers in the Madison area. We have one on Northport Drive. We have one on Nesbitt Road on the south side of Madison. One in Stoughton, right on 51 as you're coming into Stoughton, and then another one on 151 in Sun Prairie, plus one in Stevens Point.
Wow.
And so, all the stores are manned with knowledgeable gardening people that can help you, and if they can't, they can get in contact with us in Randolph, and we can get the answers for you. We also do millions of catalogs. It's how the business actually started. Was in the mail order business. My grandfather loved the arm's length of mail order, where you could sell a lot of products, but you didn't have to interact with the customers too much. But my dad was a very strong people person, and he was the one that actually got the garden doctor. He was the original garden doctor. He and Bill McCollum, kind of miss seeing him around when I come in. But he was the one that started the 1 minute and then 5 minute tapes on WBEV. And then when I got back from school, and I started the program, and it's been a long relationship that we really treasure.
As do we, and thank you so much. I did not know that your dad was the original garden doctor.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the catalogs, I know we want to talk about the spring catalog, because now I'm really looking forward to Christmas. But the spring catalog, you said, will be coming out a little bit before Christmas.
Yeah, we're working real hard right now on the new catalog for the 2025 spring. We actually have 8 different catalogs that we publish and each of the Jung is kind of our department store, but then we have 7 other catalogs that are sort of niche type catalogs, like Vermont Bean, Totally Tomatoes, R.H. Shumway, which is heirlooms, Edmonds Roses, which is a rose catalog, HPS, which is our wholesale market gardening catalog. We've got lots and lots of work being done now on introducing new varieties and things, and that's why the broccoli is one of the things that will be in our Vermont Bean catalog.
Did you carry that in by yourself? That is a huge container of broccoli and that beautiful head of cauliflower. Definitely check out the stream at Daily Dodge TV on dailydodge.com and our YouTube channel. How heavy is that? I mean, that's significant.
Yeah, I mean, it's There's a lot of broccoli and cauliflower in that pan.
Oh, tasty stuff.
Yeah.
We do have a text for Charlie to share with us. Charlie, would you like to read that for us?
Sure. So someone chimed in and said, I have a big bare patch in my lawn. Is it better to seed it now or wait until the spring?
Okay. With lawns, right now is the best time to seed it because what you want to do is work up that area with a rake, or you don't want to rototill it because you don't want to get it disturbed too deep, but you want to get some loose soil on top of the ground so that when you spread the seed, you can rake it into the soil and then kind of compact the soil around the seed and then put straw over it. It takes about a week to 10 days for the ryegrass to germinate, and then the bluegrass or the fescue, whichever type of lawn you need, whether it's a shady or a sunny location, and then you want to just keep it moist until the grass starts to grow, and then once that happens, then you back your watering off. Fertilize it so it grows well in the fall, because right now is a good time to fertilize your lawns, because grass grows mainly in the fall and in the spring, and in the summer it kind of goes dormant. So now is a good time to plant grass seed and get it going. And if you've got bare spots or you've got spots where the grass isn't real thick, you can wait for the dew to dry off so that the seed gets down to the ground. But you can interseed grass seed if you want to thicken your lawn right now, and then just keep it watered until the new grass sprouts, and away it goes. The only thing that really kills grass seed is to have it start to germinate and then dry out. So once you put that seed in the ground, you've got to keep that area moist until the seed starts to, or the blades of grass start to appear, and then you can back off on your watering.
Okay.
So now's the time to do it.
All right, and we still have plenty of nice days ahead, and,
Yes, we do.
we can make the time for
Yep.
that. We're going to head to the phones. We have a caller on line 1. Good morning. You're on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Good morning. I have a question. I have an impatient and 2 begonias. One
Okay.
is a drooping one. Can I bring them in the house over winter?
Yes, you can.
So just water them like usual?
The begonias, what you want to do with them is keep them in a sort of a semi-sunny area. A lot of the leaves will drop off, the flowers will drop off, it'll kind of go dormant, and then actually next spring you can cut the tops off and they'll start again. With the impatiens are an annual, but if you do bring them indoors and cut them back so that they, I'd cut them back probably in January or February.
Okay, because they're blooming like crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So will they last over winter blooming or not?
No.
Oh,
No, they won't.
so I just have to cut them all back and...
Yep. Cut them back, and you can pot them up and keep them going in the wintertime.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks
Bye.
for the call. Yeah, it's always sad for me, and I can tell she feels the same way when your plants are still looking so beautiful, and you have all those beautiful flower blooms, and it's getting colder every night, and
Right.
soon it's going to be over. So yeah, if there's ways that we can bring in plants like impatiens and begonias, just know that they're going to go dormant, but be patient.
Yeah, see, begonias are bulbs. The bulb is there. You can actually leave the begonias out until they get frosted, and then dig them up, and the bulb can be stored in peat moss over winter and then started over again in the spring. Impatiens are usually an annual in this area because they'll produce seed, and then the seed is what you start them from next year. But if you keep them from getting frosted, impatiens can be kept over the winter. a lot of the annuals can be done that way too.
Okay, good. That's good to know. I think I'm going to bring in some of mine because they're all looking good. Our phones, of course, open for your questions for the Garden Doctor at 885-4446. And you can also text here this morning at 887-9595. We are going to take a quick break and be back with more of your questions via phone and text with the Garden Doctor, Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center here on Hometown Today on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Randy, owner of Professional Floor Covering, and you're listening to Hometown Today on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Welcome back to the Garden Doctor Show. This is a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Jung Garden Center, not WBEV, ESPN, or Good Karma Brands. Of course, the studio lines are open for your questions at 885-4446. You can also text at 887-9595. There is still plenty of time for us to dig in the dirt, have some fun outside, whether it's doing the right things in our yard or playing playing in the garden. And you can also save right now at Jung Garden Center 35% off trees and nursery stocks right now.
Right.
That's going to go fast.
All the remaining inventory that we have in our yards, we have a little bit more than we'd like to put away for the winter, and
Yeah.
and there's still plenty of time to do that. And the potted nursery stock and trees are very easy to transplant. I mean, the tree is growing in a pot now, and you take the plant out of the pot, and you kind of disturb the root system. You can either do that by cutting into the root system on four sides about an inch deep so that you disturb the roots, or you can just actually physically comb some of the roots out because you want to get them out of that root bound situation. And you want to dig a hole about maybe 6 inches wider around the clump of soil that you get. You can go a little bit deeper, but not much deeper. You don't want to go 6 inches deeper because those roots have been initiated at a certain depth, and you don't want to plant it deeper than that because sometimes that will cause the roots that are planted too deep to die. So you just want to plant them deep enough so that you have maybe an inch or two of soil over top of that real well-drained soil that the plants are grown in. We grow the nursery stock in a mixture of pine bark, peat moss, and sand, which gives us a very, very light, airy mix because we water the plants every day. You have to have a mix that the water goes through so you don't get root rots. But you want to make sure that the roots kind of blast out of that rich soil into the native soil. So you want to use some of the soil that you take out of the hole to put back around it, especially if it's clay, because you don't want to create a pot. But you can mix some compost and fertilizer with the soil that you put back around the trees. And you want to keep them moist, I would say probably for about 3 weeks. A 5-gallon bucket full, maybe every third or fourth day. And then once you get the plant in the ground for a month, then you back it off to once a week and get them into the wintertime with the roots growing and away they go. And then they'll be ready to grow in spring, and away they go.
I like that. We get to enjoy them more in the spring. We have another text on our text line at 887-9595. Charlie, would you be so kind as to share that with us?
Yes, we have someone that is interested in growing garlic but is not sure where to start. Any tips for the project?
Oh, yeah, because before we hit the air for our very first break this morning, garlic is one of the things that you mentioned you wanted to talk about today.
Right. There are two types of garlic. There's hardneck and softneck. Now, the hardnecks are the best ones for a northern climate. Although you can grow the softnecks, they tend to store better. But what you do is you take the bulb, and we have, I think, 10 or 12 different varieties of garlic in a garden center. But what you do is you take the bulb that has that papery coating over the bulb, and you want to separate the cloves, and you pull them apart. And with the hardnecks, you want to plant them about 6 inches deep and about 6 inches apart.
Okay.
And now is a great time to get them in the ground. And as soon as they're in the ground, then you cover them with a foot or 10 to 12 inches of clean straw so that the soil stays nice and moist around the cloves so that they start to root down. I think the soil is getting cool enough that you won't get much top growth. But then in the springtime, they come up and away they go. And you fertilize them in the springtime, with a well-balanced fertilizer so that you get a nice top. And then when they're about 2 or 3 sets of leaves start to turn brown on the stem that's coming out of the ground, they're ready to dig.
Okay.
And that would probably be in mid to late August. And then you take and what you do with the cloves, the big ones are the ones that you want to plant because they're going to give you the biggest bulbs. And if there's some smaller cloves in there, you can use those for cooking and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
so yeah, now's a great time to get the garlic in the ground. Treat it well, and you'll have bulbs coming up next spring.
That's the best. Garlic is kind of like bacon in my house. We try to use it as much as possible. It's good stuff. We're going to head back to the phones at 885-4446. Good morning. You're on the air with the Garden Doctor.
I want to know about lavender.
Okay.
First of all, where can I find the seeds? Second of all, how do I end up growing it?
Okay. I'm not sure if we have lavender seeds. Most lavender is grown from plants rather than from seed. Seed is where you get variation. I think that we do have. Oh yeah, we do have lavender seed now that I think about it. Purple Elegance is a variety that we sell that comes from seed. But there are a ton of different varieties of lavender, and they're usually planted from individual plants. And so you can get lavenders that are tall or short and purple or white or sort of a lavender color.
The purple ones is what I'm after. I don't know what the name of them is or anything, but if somebody's got some that are growing, is there seeds that come off of that or no?
Yes, there should be. Purple Elegance is the variety that we sell as seed. It's in the catalog.
What do the seeds look like? They real small?
They're small. They're about the size of a radish seed or maybe just a little bit smaller than that. They germinate quite easily, actually. You wouldn't start them now, though. You'd start them in the springtime. There's not enough time to start lavender from seed and get it ready for winter.
So if the guy that's got some, if the flowers have sort of dried up,
right?
Are the things that are still on that stem, is that seeds or no?
It depends on the variety. Some of the varieties have viable seeds and some don't. So what you'd want to do is just cut the stems off when they're brown and kind of shake them up in a paper bag and then take the stems out and blow the chaff out and see what you have left. And that seed, I mean, some of the seed probably is viable. Okay?
Okay. Yep, that's all I need to know.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much for your call. 885-4446 is the studio line, 885-4446. And you can also text your questions in to the Garden Doctor at 887-9595. 887-9595 is our text line. Wednesday mornings, Dick Sondag, the Garden Doctor with Jung Garden Center, joins us. And of course, happy to take your questions via phone and text. And we have another question via text. Mr. Dern, what do you have for the Garden Doctor?
Yes, someone's Christmas cactus is dropping some of its leaves, and they're wondering what they're doing wrong.
It could be overwatering. Christmas cactuses are in the process of forming their flowers for Christmas, and Christmas cactuses are photo period sensitive. If you want flowers on your cactus, you have to make sure they don't get any light after the sun goes down for, I think it takes 6 weeks to initiate the flowers, and then the flowers come about a month later. So it's called a Christmas cactus because it gets that photo period in normal sunlight sometime in September or early October, and it takes about, I think, 2 weeks to initiate the flower buds, and then the buds come later. Dropping off the leaves is not normal, but it's not serious either. It could be overwatering. It could be lack of sunlight. It could be that the plant is going dormant and it's just dropping those excess leaves.
Okay. I keep seeing mums everywhere. Dick. They are everywhere. I know it's the time of year where, we're happy about the mums. It's fall. Can we plant those in the ground? Is that a plant that will come back every year?
If you plant them in the spring
Okay, good to know.
and they're established, they probably will make it through the winter.
Okay.
Mums are on the very they're on the very borderline of hardiness, and the mums that you buy in the fall are probably not going to make it through the winter because they're not established. The only way that you could probably try to keep them is to put about a foot of straw over them as soon as we get our first frost, and that would protect them a little bit. But most mums, if you're planting them from a pot that you buy now, are annuals.
Okay. That's good to
Yeah,
know. I bet you have a beautiful selection of mums.
We
at
do
Jung
have
Garden
mums,
Center.
yes, we do. Yep, mums and pumpkins and, all the bulbs, the fall bulbs, the garlic, some strawberry plants. Not as much stuff as we have in the springtime, but we have the lawn fertilizers that you need if you need lawn and lawn seeds. We've got a really good variety of things at the garden center. And the other thing we have is people that know what they're talking about as far as what to do and when. And if they don't know, they can get the information for you.
Well, in your videos that you have on YouTube, yes, you can check out the Garden Doctor on YouTube, subscribe to the Garden Doctor's channel on YouTube. I know that those have been really helpful to folks. Sometimes it helps when you can actually see how to do something. I know they've been fun for you.
Some people are visual learners.
Yeah.
I happen to be one of them. I like to watch a video rather than read a pamphlet, but we're trying to get a library of videos on how to plant different things and what to do for different diseases and insect problems, and how to start seeds, and a lot of the things that we do at Jung's, because if we like to not only provide a product but a service also, and so those videos are quite popular, and hopefully give you the information that you need. I've been using a lot of them in customer service when they ask about a raspberry, how to grow raspberries, or what you do, how you prune raspberries. Really easy to show them, exactly when you want to prune a raspberry out of your raspberry patch, because it's done its bearing, and the canes for next year's crop are coming through. So, yeah.
I remember a call that we had on the show last week about pruning, and I believe you said something like, we shouldn't be pruning anything this time of year. Is that correct? Depends what it is?
Yes or no.
Okay.
Yes and no. You don't want to be pruning things that bloom in springtime, because the flower buds are being initiated at this time. So all of your fruit trees, all of your fruits, your lilacs should not be pruned at this time of the year. Some of your hydrangeas should not be pruned. The rule of thumb is if it blossoms before the 1st of July, don't prune in the fall, or you're cutting your flowers off.
That's easy to remember.
Yeah, and if it's after the 1st of July, then you can prune them basically any time. Most of the time you prune them right after they blossom.
Okay. The Garden Doctor, Dick Sondag with Jung Garden Center, is with us here this morning, of course, taking your questions via phone and text. Our studio line is 885-4446. 885-4446 is the studio line. And, of course, you can also text those questions in at 887-9595. 887-9595. There are so many things for us to do year-round, a lot of things for folks to shop at Jung's year-round also. What are some of the other things that you'd like to talk about that we should be aware of this time of year?
Be sure you keep your leaves raked, because when leaves are on the lawn, they're blocking the sunlight, and so the grass can't grow. I like to compost a lot in the fall, because there's so much organic matter just laying on the ground or being accumulated, and you're taking the stuff in your garden that grew the vegetables, and you don't want to burn it. You want to compost it because that will add the organic matter to the soil. And the way that you do your composting is you take a 6-inch layer of organic matter, and then you want to put, if it's dry, you want to put water on it so that it has some moisture to it. You want to put some fertilizer on it, or you want to use something that's green, and then you want to put another 6-inch layer, and then the fertilizer or the green matter, and then you can also use soil as your inoculant. But if you've not composted a lot and added a lot of compost to your garden, we do sell a product that will you can use on each layer that has the microorganisms, because what's happening in a compost pile is that the microorganisms that do the decomposition of cellulose are multiplying. And the way that you can tell if a compost pile is working is if when you're turning a pile or when you're moving it, you get steam coming off from it, because the microorganisms are giving off heat, and that heat will create steam. And most of the time, even in the dead of winter, the snow will not accumulate on a compost pile, because those microorganisms are generating enough heat that it will keep the snow melting. And then every once in a while you want to turn it so that you get the constituents that are on the outside back into the inside. And in the springtime, if you can't recognize the constituents that you put into your compost pile, it means that the compost is ready to put on your garden. And I use the compost pile as a way of fertilizing my garden, because I put the fertilizer in the compost pile, and then it works into the microorganisms as they're growing, and then when you add it to the garden, it's in an organic form. It's readily available to the plants, and it also improves the texture and the water holding capacity of the soil, and your garden grows like crazy.
That's what we want. That is the ultimate goal. Dick Zondag, the garden doctor with Jung Garden Center, with us this morning. 885-4446 is the studio line for your questions. And of course, you can also text at 887-9595. And Charlie, we're keeping you busy this morning on the text line. What do you have to share for the garden doctor now?
So someone has a 2-year-old rhubarb plant, and they're wondering what they need to do to prepare it for winter.
If you're going to divide it, you could divide it right now. If you're not going to divide it, there's really nothing you need to do, because the leaves will drop off, and you can either remove them and put them in the compost pile, or you can just leave them and then take them off in the springtime. But you don't want to be fertilizing anything too much in the fall, because if you do, it may cause some new growth to start, and you don't want anything to start growing in the fall. So the fertilizing of rhubarb should be done in the springtime before it starts to grow. And then if you're going to divide it, either divide it now in the fall and then transplant it. And the way that you divide rhubarb is you just take a shovel and you dig half of the clump out. You just go right down in the middle of the clump and dig half of it out. And then you let the area that the cut surface exposed to the sunlight for a few days to callus over before you put the soil back in. But then in springtime you want to fertilize it, because you've cut part of the plant off. Rhubarb needs to be divided every 3 or 4 years, because otherwise it starts to deteriorate. The stalks get smaller, and you get a lot of flowers. Mm-hmm. If the rhubarb is flowering, it's saying I need to be divided. That's another sign of being divided. And if you're going to do it in the springtime, you want to do it in the early spring before the plant starts to grow too much, or otherwise you're going to injure the plant.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No.
The way you described how to split that rhubarb reminds me of something that you shared last week on the show regarding peonies.
Yeah, same
Don't
thing.
be afraid of the shovel.
No.
Okay.
No, you take a sharp shovel and just go right down in the middle of the clump and pop half of it out of the ground, and then you can divide that depending on how big it is, so that you've got a few eyes on each piece, and then replant it. And you can do the same thing with the rhubarb. The piece that you dig out, you can divide it and transplant it. But you don't ever give any rhubarb away because you don't want to put us out of business. We sell a lot of rhubarb.
Well, it's good stuff. We have another text from Charlie. Would you like to share?
Yes. So someone has a coleus plant.
Okay.
And it's in a pot outside, and they're wondering if they'd be able to bring it inside and have it for the spring.
Yes, definitely. Coleus is one of the easiest things to get through the winter.
Oh, I'm so glad to learn this. That's one of my favorite plants. I have a big flower box in front of my house, very shady area, and I love those coleus plants. They're beautiful, and there's so many different colors.
Colors and leaf variations. Yeah, you could pot them up. I would. Because coleus gets to be quite large, you probably will want to cut it back a little bit when you put it in the pot. But bring the pot in. You don't want to let the plant freeze because it's an annual. If you don't, if you let it get frosted. But and then in February or March, you can even cut it back a little bit more and then it'll start to grow and it'll be much bushier if you do that. But yeah, coleus is pretty easy to get through the winter. You like to have it in a sunny area. And coleus is one of those things that will handle sun or shade. Okay. And so in the wintertime, though, we have a lot less sunlight, and so it'll be just fine. In fact, if you do fertilize the coleus in the wintertime, it probably will grow. So.
Good to know. Last year I had one on my patio. I would have loved to have taken it inside, but it was huge, and I think I got it in like a little 4-inch plant, and just fertilized a little bit throughout the summer, and it was absolutely gorgeous. It was reminiscent of a big kind of bush by the time the end of summer was with us. It got really chilly last night, like in the mid 30s, and soon we're going to be dealing with frost. Any predictions? Like, I've not looked at the Farmer's Almanac, but about what time of year can we expect our first frost so we're prepared for bringing in things and
I'll have to look that up. You can look it up online. You just put in frost date for your zip code, and Farmer's Almanac is a good source. That's one that will come up. But if you want to keep those annuals for a little bit longer, if you know that it's only going to get down to like 20 in the mid 20s or high 20s, you just take an old bed sheet or a blanket or a large piece of plastic, and just throw that over the plants for the night. There's enough heat stored in the soil that the annuals will handle that pretty easily, actually.
That's good
so
to
you
know.
can keep them for a longer period of time until we're going to get really cold weather. But you do have to protect them because the petunias and the coleus and a lot of the plants will die when it gets below 32 if they're not protected some way.
Wow, I think we were pretty close to that overnight, like right around 34. I think it was early this morning in my little city on the marsh. The garden doctor, Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center with us this morning. We still have time for your questions, so certainly ring us up at 885-4446. 885-4446 is the studio line, and you can also text. Lots of text messages this morning, which has been great. 887-9595 is our text line, 887-9595. Let's talk again about the locations and the hours when folks can walk through those doors at a Jung Garden Center.
Yeah, we have 6 locations, 2 in Madison, 1 in Sun Prairie, 1 in Stoughton, 1 in Randolph, of course, and then 1 in Stevens Point. And the hours are 10 to 4 Monday through Friday, 10 to 3 on Sunday. Of course, Randolph is never open on Sunday, so 10 to 5 Monday through Saturday, and then 10 to 3 on Sundays in the stores other than Randolph. So.
And right now, 35% off trees and what you have left in the nursery there at Jung Garden Center. And I'm still knocked out by the 72 varieties of tulips,
Yep.
42 varieties of daffodils. And I see we have another call on line one, so we definitely want to
Okay.
take that. Good morning. You're on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Good morning. I've got asparagus, and after you're done doing what you do in the spring, you let it go seed. So now I'm wondering, do you cut it off now or wait till spring? I heard for trapping snow.
Yeah, it kind of depends on what your favor is. You can let it you can let the tops there, and like you said, they will trap snow and make it a little nicer for the roots underground. But some people like to clean up their garden, and so you cut those tops off. I would wait until the tops are completely brown before you cut them off, because as long as there's green there, they are putting stuff back into the root system. And with newly planted asparagus, if you see the plant starting to form seeds, it's probably a good idea to cut it off, because asparagus has male and female plants, and the females will be putting all the energy into the seeds that they're producing rather than into the root system. So, if it starts to form seeds when they start to go red, or from red to brown, cut them off. Most of the newer varieties, the hybrids that we sell, are almost completely male, and so you just leave those on until they're completely brown, and then cut them off and put the tops in the compost pile so that they turn into organic matter for your soil.
Okay.
It's been several years now with berries coming on for seed, whatever. Is there any way of knowing what's male and female?
Yeah, the ones with the berries on are females, and the ones without them are males, because males do not have seeds.
Oh, okay. So, does it matter now?
If you've got an established patch, no, it does not matter. If you've just planted them, maybe for the first 2 years, it'd be a good idea to take them off. But if you've got an established patch, no, then you just leave everything until they're dead, until the tops are dead.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and again, fertilize them in springtime, because what you're basically eating is the vegetative part of the plant, and the more fertilizer you give them, the more sprouts they're going to push up, the more delicious asparagus you get to eat.
I love asparagus.
Yeah.
Now I'm hungry for asparagus, broccoli, and cauliflower. We have another call, so let's head back to the phones at 885-4446. Good morning. You're on the air with Garden Doctor.
Hi, I have a hens and chicks plant,
Okay,
and it's in a planter on the west side of my house.
all right.
And I'm just wondering what the best way to keep those. Do I bring them inside, or do I leave them out, and do I cover them with something?
The problem with a planter is if you leave it outside, the roots of the plant will probably die.
Okay.
So what I would do with it is I'd bring it into the garage and throw several blankets over it.
Okay. Take the
Unless
whole
you've
thing
got a
out.
heated garage. If you've got a heated garage, then you just have to bring them into the garage.
No, it's not heated. It had a lot of chicks this year, so I don't
Yeah.
want all my little chicks to die.
I mean, if they're in the ground, they're fine,
Oh, okay,
But when
but
they're
not
in
in
a
a planter.
planter,
Yeah, and they're laying kind of on the cement of the planter, too. There's a cement border on it.
yeah.
And they kind of grew outside the planter onto the border, so that would probably kill them then, huh?
Probably.
Okay, I'll dig them up. If I can't get them all, I'll dig most of them up. And
I mean, yeah.
I think that's the best way to.
I mean,
I
is
didn't know what
it
I'd
a
cover 'em
ground?
with.
Is it a ground planter?
No, it's actually on the side of my house. It's about 3 feet high.
Yeah. I mean, if
So
you'd
it's
put a layer of styrofoam on the inside of the planter, so that the ground doesn't freeze as hard, then you probably get away with leaving them in the ground.
Oh, okay,
But
that's
when-
a good idea.
Yeah, but
It's covering them up.
yeah,
figured
I
that
think
snow would get
I-
on it,
yeah,
and it'd get probably harder on them.
yeah.
So, okay, I'll just dig them up and hope for the best.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you for the call. And I can't believe we're out of time. It goes so very fast, and we really enjoy having you with us here on air in the Daily Dodge TV studios and the Slumberland Furniture studios. Dick Zondig, the Garden Doctor with Jung Garden Center. This show will be replayed on Saturday, and of course he'll be back live in the studio with us next Wednesday from 9:40 until 11 o'clock. Any parting words, or what would you like to share as we wrap up this morning, Dick?
Well, it's that time of the year when things are starting to slow down and go dormant, and you got to get the potatoes out of the garden and stuff like that. And but we also time to get those tulips and daffodils and hyacinths and crocus and all those small minor bulbs that make the spring look nice. Time to get them in the ground now. So we have a very good supply of them right now, and so come on over and talk to us.
Yep, and continue to enjoy having fun in the garden, in the yard, and we look forward to having you back with us next Wednesday morning. You make
Very
it a
good.
great day. Dick Zondag, the Garden Doctor with Jung Garden Center, here with us this morning on your hometown station, 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.